Have you ever had a dream so real it was like a movie?
Life is Strange, an episodic adventure game similar to that of seemingly countless series created by esteemed developer Telltale, where you, the player, take on the role of a 17-year-old schoolgirl called Max Caulfield. She's returning home to a small town in Oregon that she had left many years ago. Her desire to take film classes from an award-winning photographer who, in her eyes, is dreamy, are interrupted by a newly discovered supernatural ability to rewind time, and a reoccurring dream featuring a tornado stripping apart the small fishing town from the face of the planet. In this Bullies meets Goonies PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360 and PC video game developed by French studio Don't Nod Entertainment, known previously for the 2013 cyberpunk action-adventure game Remember Me. While not graphically on the same level as some AAA games that feature highly detailed character models or extremely polished textures, it does instead strive for a more simplistic, arty vibe. Everything looks like it was processed using a Photoshop-style oil painting filter, and has resulted in a unique and distinct art style unlike any game before it. From the uninteractable trees gently swaying from side to side, to the familiar stereotypical characters from 90s school dramas. Everything and everyone simply looks amazing. Though the animations are top-notch, the lip-syncing is borderline awful. In a game where character interactions and dialogue are crucial to the experience, witnessing a character correctly syncing their dialogue with their mouth movements should not be a rarity. It's odd and strangely past gen, and was one of the two real criticisms that drew me out of the experience for the most part. Frame rate and resolution, however, unlike a lot of 8th generation games, seems to be rather stable, having only experienced a handful of notable occasions where the frame rate dipped below its native 30 frames per second. Whether it's walking across the school campus, saving the lives of a random person, or conversing with local students, the sound matches the actions incredibly well. Everything is mixed perfectly, with great use of ambient sounds throughout, not to mention an impeccable score and soundtrack. The music feels very teenage angst, but seemingly never digresses into what I would consider emo. Rather, it reminds you that high school might not have been the greatest place for many people, and can be a cold, desolate place. It conveys all of this with a score that's both moody, youthful, and perfectly matches the graphic aesthetics and completely immerses you into the atmosphere of the game. Compared to the plastic, blatant scripts read by many protagonists in these AAA games, Life is Strange attempts to break the mold. Character performances and interactions sound infinitely more genuine, and none of the characters' voices sound off or drew me out of the experience. It all felt natural and fluid. Incredible performances overall. To give the game credit where credit's due, adventure games lately seem to have shied away from having an emphasis on actual gameplay. Granted, as a genre, they were never actually regarded as gameplay rich to begin with. I applaud Don't Nod for attempting to take players back to the days of walking around various levels and interacting with objects and characters that may, or may not, enhance the experience, but do at least provide the player with the option for more negligible choices. The game also introduces a time manipulation mechanic that, as a choice-based adventure game goes, works to great effect, allowing the player to rewind and replay certain decisions, thereby seeing the ramifications or benefits one choice may yield over another, a perspective that they otherwise would never have seen in a single playthrough. This does, however, illuminate the seemingly pointless results created from some decisions and pointing out the obvious funneling that can happen all too frequently in many choice-based narratives. There are instances where the story makes great use of the mechanic, using it to predict the future and gain the trust of another character, for example. So for an adventure game, impressive gameplay. When a game can evoke such emotional responses from the act of sitting down and listening to the ambient sounds of birds chirping or grass rustling or the gut-punching melodies of a perfectly timed piece of music, you realize as a player that you're embarking on a journey that will not only test the strength and water absorbency of your eyelashes, but also your capability to make tough and fulfilling choices. It's best not to go in depth when analysing particular aspects of the plot, just accept that it's evocative, emotional, and somewhat mentally challenging. Although, as alluded to earlier, there are two major critiques that I had with the overall experience. One being the lip syncing, and the other was the game's ineptitude in providing certain characters with dialogue that accurately depicts the vernacular of the young. Often, it's nothing short of cringeworthy, with one supporting character in particular bearing the brunt of this criticism. I do understand that it may have been some time since Christian Devine, Life is Strange's lead writer, has been a part of this demographic, but it does not detract from the criticism in general. It isn't as noticeable with some other characters, Max for instance, but remains an appropriate criticism with regard to many others. Don't let this discourage you though. The visual storytelling conveyed through certain character expressions, environmental design, such as object placement, house layout, and musical cues is quite incredible to say the least. The game authentically captures the atmosphere of a school and mixes in a soundtrack that fits perfectly. Most importantly though, the game packs an incredible emotional punch. There's a unique feeling here. It may be the hand-painted oil painting art style, the visuals and the literal storytelling, the detailed characters, or more likely, a combination of all three. While there are a few hiccups, principally the lip syncing and dialogue on certain characters, the day is ultimately saved via the strength of its narrative, usage of interesting game mechanics, amazing voice work, incredible sound effects, and an impeccable soundtrack. So, regardless of its initial $30 price tag, no doubt less on eBay or Steam, you should make this game a must play, especially diehard fans of adventure games or lovers of great storytelling.